Okay, so Chapter 4, Section 4 is percent of change. We've done these last year, so this is not new for you. All right, you do need your calculators. All right, make sure you get those. When we talk about percent of change, I'm just going to start with the formula. All right, and we're just going to start doing some problems. All right, so percent of change is the amount of change divided by the original amount. This is our from amount. If I'm going from 15 to 30, all right, our from amount, that's the original. And since we want this as a percentage, once we write that fraction and we write that fraction and find the decimal value of it, we need to multiply by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So, percent of change is the amount of change divided by the original amount times 100. And that multiplying by 100 turns our decimal into a fraction. All right, they're going to talk about percent of increase and percent of decrease. All right, percent of increase is percent of change. All right, it's just they are saying that it's increasing. All right, so this is percent of change. When the data is increasing. So when they say find the percent of increase, it's just percent of change. So if percent of increase is the percent of change when the data is increasing. All right, an example of that might be we're going from 8 players to 12 players. I could find the percent of change. That's the data. It's increasing. All right. Conversely, percent of decrease, when they ask for that, it is also percent of change. But that is percent of change when the data is decreasing. The formula doesn't change. You're using the same formula one way or the other. The difference is just what the data is doing. An example of that might be we go from $100 to $35. The amount of money is decreasing. Okay, so let's just use these. All right, let's practice a bunch of these. All right, so here is our example. The price of a sweater decreased from $29.99 to $24.49. Find the percent of decrease. So in some of these, it's just going to say find the percent of change. In other ones, it's going to say find the percent of decrease. In other ones, it might say find the percent of increase. It's all the same thing. So always start with the formula. So someone tell me, how do I find percent of change? What's the formula for percent of change? Victoria? Excellent. Remember, your amount of change, that's always going to be the bigger minus the smaller. And your original is what you're starting at. It's the original that you're going from. Nick? Change? So here's our formula right here. This is why I don't like you guys leaving. So why don't you write that down, Nick? Write this right here down. Chris? What? You are. I haven't even gotten to that point yet. So Nick, there's the formula. So to find the amount and change, you are going to subtract those. So you take your bigger minus your smaller. Are you good with that? Awesome. So that's exactly what I am going to do, Chris. So I'm going to take $29.99 and I'm subtract off $24.99 divided by, well, what's my original? In this problem, what's my original? Peter? $29.99. It's what we're starting from, and then times 100. All right, so that should be 5. I'm just making sure. 29.99 minus 24.99 gives me 5. So I end up with 5 divided by 29.99 times 100. I'm going to flip because I ran out of space. What's up? Did I? Thank you. I'll switch that. Thank you. So this would be 4. So let's switch what that's supposed to be. So 29, thank you for correcting me, minus 24, 49. That ends up being $5.50. Is that what you got? Awesome. All right, so let's rewrite that. I have $5.50 divided by $29.99 times 100. This is my percent of change. All right, so now you guys have your calculators. 5.5 divided by 29.99 is equal to 0.1833. I'm going to say ... Normally we should be telling you what we want to round to. So in this one, let's round to nearest tenth of a percent. All right, so I have that long decimal times 100. All right, when I multiply by 100, how many places do I move my decimal and which direction? Chris? Excellent, so 2 to the right. So I end up with 18.33, which is approximately 18.3%. Remember, you're using your rounding rules. All right, so this is an 18.3% decrease because the price went down. Questions on that before I give you a couple more? Yes. There'll be some that might say, I'll do one. Okay. Who needs to see what's up there? Okay. So that's a great question. In your homework, you might see something like find each percent of change. Describe the percent of change. Colin, you're writing this down. As an increase or decrease. Round to nearest tenth if necessary. And that means tenth of a percent. So those are the directions directly out of your homework for the first grouping. So find each percent of change, describe the percent of change as an increase or a decrease, round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So my example is, what do you guys have? You have odds, I'll give you an even. we're going to go from, well, they don't say from, so what they're going to say is something like this. 15 pounds to 18 pounds. All right, so they're not saying from, but the from is implied here. How many of you guys see that the from is implied here? That we're going from 15 to 18. All right, all of you do this, please. Yes. Always write the formula. So always write the formula. Anytime you're using a formula, always write the formula. So always write the formula before you use it. No matter if you're in my class or in Mr. Bear's class, always write the formula before you use it. The one that I just did before you is your guide of how I want you to show your work. Want to do the second one on the back, you can, Hannah. So I'm going to start by writing the formula down. All right, somebody fill in my values for me. This is an 18, by the way. Somebody fill in the values. Jackie should be writing in pencil, not pen. It's notes. Peter, go ahead. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. 0.2 times 100. So what is my percent of change? Excellent. How many of you guys got 20%? Who did not get 20%? All right, well, let's check it out. All right, so I end up with 3 divided by 15. That gives me 0.2. When I multiply that by 100, I move the decimal 2 places to the right, and I do agree with 20%. Is this an increase or a decrease? Peter, nice work. Is this an increase or a decrease, and why? Isabella? Yeah, this is an increase. I'm going to write because data is increasing. I don't think they're asking for you to say why, but it's always good to think about why. So those are, I'm glad you asked that question, Victoria, because a lot of times when you want to know exactly what the homework's going to do or give you, right? So that is directly out of your homework. All right, let me give you guys another one. Because some of them will be story problems, some of them will just be skills like that. All right, let me give you this. Some of my sticky notes up here. Okay, I want you guys to do number 1 in this additional examples. So do this first one for me, please. Remember, always start with the formula. Get in that habit, because when I give you a quiz on this or you have a test on this, that is worth either a half a point or a point, writing the formula down. You don't want to lose that off the top. That's a silly way to not earn a point. So let me get to the problem here. So here's the problem. All right, somebody do this work for us. All right, Jacob, go ahead. So you wrote the formula down, right? Yeah, go ahead and fill it in. Excellent. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. When in doubt, and I don't give you direction for what to round to, just round to the nearest tenth like that. When in doubt, just do that. Questions on this? Okay. Now let's talk about if we have something that's a real world or another story problem. All right, so I'm going to show this to you. Who needs to see what's up there? Questions on this? Okay, so let me show you this. I want you guys to do this problem. Andrew, are you cool? Awesome. All right, I want you guys to do this problem. I do want you writing those givens down. If you don't want to write every single word, don't write every single word, but at least write the important information that you need. That way your notes make sense. Remember, always start with the formula. You have to write the formula down before you use it every single time. So get in the habit of doing that in your notes. That way when you look at your notes, you know that that's a requirement. you're done, check with some of the same values, see if you guys got the same thing. All this talking means you guys are done. So somebody put in my numbers for me. So you started with putting the formula down. Now put our numbers in. Ashton? Excellent. Let me ask you guys something. What size number are you anticipating is going to be your percentage? What size number are you anticipating is going to be your percentage? Jack, what do you think? How many of you guys agree it's between 0 and 100? How many of you guys agree with that? Okay. Who does not agree with that? Okay. Jacob, why do you not agree with that? Yeah, like if it was 100%, 100% means that if you started with 1330, you'd go up by 1330, right? Yeah. So you go up 100%. You go up by exactly the same amount. We've gone up by a lot more than that, haven't we? So you guys should be anticipating that our percentage is going to be a lot bigger than 100%. How many of you guys agree with that? All right, so make sure you understand, like, when you're done, your answer has to make sense. Okay, and it will make sense that this is going to be a much bigger number than 100%. Okay, Jacob, go. Who is doing this for me? Ashton, keep going. Okay, keep. Yep. Excellent. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Right? Because it went up by a lot more than double. All right? It went up 2,000%. All right. I'm going to show you guys another one that I want you guys to do. I did not give this one to you in your homework, so I'm going to give it to you now. All right, this one is going to require that you explain your answer. So I want you guys doing number 42 from your homework. Zoom in a little bit more. So I want you guys doing number 42 here. Go ahead. So in your explanation, I want you to explain why. So you're doing percent increase first, and then you're doing percent decrease. Work it together. You guys can work together. Chris, sit up. Okay, do this problem. You guys work together if you want to. Talk it through. Now, you actually have to do the percent of increase here. And then you actually have to do the percent of decrease. You can't answer that without doing some math and without using that formula twice. I need all the work that goes with this. I'm not taking partial work. So do the whole thing. You should know that by now. And the problem is that if this is the habit you're in on your notes, this is going to be the habit that you're in your homework, and then it's going to translate to the same thing on your test and quizzes. So you either practice it the proper way from the very beginning if you want to have the results of showing how smart you really are with this. Because if you leave work out, you're going to get a lower grade. So do it right the first time. Good. Thank you, sweetie. Well, okay, so you're answering the question, is the percent of increase equal to the percent of decrease? And if the answer is no, why? Like, how do you know that? Explain how you know that. All right, so the first thing you all should have done was find your percent of increase. All right, so we're looking at our price increase. So if we look at our price increase, we're going from $64 to what? If our price is increasing, I'm going from $64 to what, Matthew? $74. So I need to figure out what that percent of increase is for those values. So percent of change equals the amount of change divided by the original times 100. Matthew, go ahead and do this for me. I've already done this. So now put my numbers in. 74 minus 64. Okay. All right, so I have 15.6% increase. How many of you guys agree with that? Okay. So now I have my price reduced. All right, so we went from $74 back down to $64. How many of you guys agree with that? All right. All right, so my percent of change is going to be that 74 minus 64. What am I dividing by? What am I dividing by, Jacob? 74, because that's what we're going from. All right, so I have 10 divided by 74 times 100. Jacob, what is 10 divided by 74? I mean, you should have shown this math.
Yeah, I did. I did 0.1551.
All right, times 100, right?
Yeah, that would be 3.5%.
And that's a decrease, right? So here are my percentages that I'm comparing. So obviously, our percent of increase is not the same as our percent of decrease. Why? Why are they not the same? We increased by the same amount. Sam, why are they different? Yeah, that original was different for both of them. I'm going to say no because the original amount was different. The original amounts are different. All right, you guys cool with this? This is percent of change. Okay? Please, please, the one thing I am looking for tomorrow, listen, I am looking to see, did you write the formula down every single time? Did you fill in the math on this? The 74 minus 64 divided by 74 times 100. I'm looking for all of that work. You guys cool? Okay, you guys can go.